William Butler Yeats is an Irish poet who was born in Dublin, Ireland on June 16, 1865. Despite his Irish heritage, he spent 14 years of his childhood living in London. Yeats attended schools in both Dublin and London and spent his summers in the west of Ireland at a family summer home in Connaught. Yeats was loyal in affirming his Irish nationality. He belonged to the Protestant Anglo-Irish minority that had controlled the economic, political, social, and cultural life of Ireland. His first publication was in 1885 in the Dublin University Review and was followed by many successful plays and poems. Yeats's works seemed to change focus multiple times throughout his career, but they started by featuring many Irish legends and heroes. The first transformation that his poems endured resulted when Yeats met a famous patriot by the name of John O'Leary. O'Leary gave him the advice to start producing more poems based on Irish legends, folklore, ballads, and songs. Another person who had a great influence on his writings was Maud Gonne, a tall, beautiful, prominent young woman that he met in his London years. Yeats fell madly in love with Gonne, and her passionate devotion to Irish nationalism led him to produce nationalistic plays such as The Countess Kathleen in 1892 and Kathleen Ní Houlihan in 1902, which were performed at the Abbey Theatre. Another aspect of Yeats' life that had great influence on his poetry was his pronounced interest in occultism and spiritualism. This interest was heightened when he joined the Golden Dawn, a secret society that practiced ritual magic, in 1890. He was a member for 32 years, and it was through this secret society that he met his wife, Georgiana Hyde Lees. You can see Yeats' use of occult symbolism in his poem, The Second Coming. He writes, "The second coming, hardly are those words out when a vast image of spiritus mundi troubles my sight, a waste of desert sand, a shape with lion body and the head of a man." According to SparkNotes.com, mystic figures were prominent in Yeats' writing, which he used to explain the journey of the soul, the passage of time, and the guiding hand of fate. In The Second Coming, Yeats used the spiritus mundi to do just that. Another thing that impacted his poetry was when he founded the Rhymers Club in 1890 with the English poet Lionel Johnson. This club was a group of London poets who met to read and discuss their poems. The Rhymers Club placed a high value on subjectivity and craftsmanship and preferred a sophisticated aestheticism to nationalism. This influence led to the lush density of Yeats' poetry in his The Wind Among the Reeds series. It wasn't until the 1900s that Yeats started writing for theater. This interest was sparked by his father, John Butler Yeats, who was a famed artist and orator with a love for highly dramatic moments in literature, which is arguably what led to Yeats' lifelong interest in drama. The simple and direct style of dialogue required for theater performances ultimately started appearing in his poems. His poems transformed in favor of conversational rhythms and radically simpler direction as seen in his poem, In the Seven Woods. Yeats' writings for theater were deliberately esoteric with non-realistic dramatic style based on Japanese no plays. He became a staunch exponent of the nationalistic cause thanks to the Easter Rising, which was an unsuccessful six-day armed rebellion of Irish Republicans against the British in Dublin. Although Yeats was often changing his location between England and Ireland, it was the Easter Rising that contributed to Yeats' eventual decision to live in Ireland. An Irish Civil War erupted from June of 1922 to May of 1923 when controversies erupted within the new Irish Free State over the partition of Northern Ireland and the wording of the formal oath of allegiance to the British Crown. Yeats sided with the new Irish government on this issue, which he acted upon by accepting a 6-year appointment to the Senate of the Irish Free State in December of 1922. The following year, in 1923, Yeats received the Nobel Prize for Literature, which commended his great works in both poetry and theater. William Butler Yeats passed away on January 28, 1939. He was an admirable and influential poet and writer who left behind works of art that are still present and admired today.